Hello, I'm Dana Sparks, broker with Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, and today's contract tip has to do with the appraisal and financing contingencies in the RE forms contract. Now, this can be very confusing, and I hope to alleviate that confusion with this video. So in the actual RE forms, in the purchase and sale itself, there are three built-in contingencies. One is the buyer's general right to terminate contingency, which is the exact same thing as the due diligence option period in the GAR contracts. The other two built-in contingencies built into the purchase and sale are an appraisal contingency and a financing contingency. Now, those are already, if you complete the form properly, those are in the purchase and sale agreement. So no additional exhibits are needed if you go binding under the RE forms. So here's where the confusing part comes in. The confusing part comes in because the RE forms committee, the forms themselves, they have separate exhibits. They have an appraisal contingency exhibit, and that is form RE 204, and the RE forms has a financing contingency exhibit, and that is form RE 203. Now here's the confusing part. These standalone exhibits in the RE forms package are not to be used if you go binding strictly on the RE forms. Again, it's already built into the purchase and sale. It's already built into the purchase and sale agreement. It's paragraph 6 contingencies. Now the legalese, the promises and the consequences regarding those financing and appraisal contingencies are contained in the standard terms. That's a whole video for another day, so maybe I'll do that later. But regardless, if the parties go binding on the RE form, then you don't need those standalone exhibits. They're already contained. So why does the committee have those standalone exhibits? Well, it's for what I like to call the switcheroo. If you're an agent and you initiate an offer on behalf of the buyer on the RE forms, and let's say the listing agent rewrites the contract and sends you a counteroffer on a GAR form, on the actual GAR purchase and sale agreement, in the GAR contract forms, to make a contract subject to a financing contingency and appraisal contingency, you would need those exhibits in the GAR. So if you as an agent, if you don't have access to the GAR by being an authorized user by virtue of being a member of a board or by paying GAR, and your co-op agent hasn't sent you the blank forms, you still have a duty to protect your buyer on those two contingencies. So that would be the situation where you would go into your forms package, whether that be on FMLS or Georgia MLS, and pull out those standalone contingency exhibits. Again, the only reason they are even in existence is that if you submit an offer on the RE form, and the listing agent counters back, rewriting everything on a GAR form, which would be a counteroffer, and doesn't include the financing exhibits, you still have access to protect your buyer. So again, that is the only reason those are in existence. Don't use them binding. If you're binding on an RE form, you're doubling the work. It's already contained in there. So one other just quick note, a big difference in the appraisal contingency between the RE form appraisal contingency and the GAR appraisal contingency that's contained in the financing exhibits. If an appraisal comes in less than the contracted sale price, if you're binding under a GAR contract, the buyer must either initiate an amendment to the seller. The seller has the option of selling it at the appraised price. At that point, if the seller chooses not to sell at the lower price, at that point the buyer can terminate. If you're binding under the RE forms, the appraisal contingency in that contract is if the appraisal comes in low, the buyer has the opportunity to terminate right then and there. So on the RE form, with a low appraisal, the buyer does not necessarily have to ask the seller to sell it at the lower price. So I think we'll do some more on the RE forms contracts in future videos, but I hope this one helped. Again, thank you for watching. I'm Dana Sparks, Broker with Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, satisfying your needs with service, innovation, and education.